Hi everybody, Ricky Cool here, Mississippi saxophone time. Grab your C harp, second position, we're playing the Hucklebuck. Now I'm just going to pause it there. Yes, the Hucklebuck by Paul Williams and his orchestra. This was a #1 rhythm and blues hit back in, I think, 1948 or 49. A major record on the R&B charts in the States back in those days. So the reason I'm looking at this particular number is, well, for one, the head, which we've just played, is very simple, and it's just a nice one to learn because it does give you some interesting little licks. And I want to look at what happens in verse 2 when there is a 3-part harmony riff, just so that you can see how the riff changes through the chords of a 12-bar blues. There's going to be a part 2 to this video where I look at Paul Williams's baritone sax solo, because there's some fabulous licks there that we can take as harmonica players and utilize. Okay, so I'm going to put up a screenshot. I'd like you to grab that if you can, but if you can't, don't worry, because I will overlay all the information you need. So in verse 2, the band is playing a 3-part harmony, and there's a subtle change in the harmony when you get to the 4 chord, and I want to look at that today and show you how that can be quite useful to understand from a harmonica player's point of view. The harmony is basically on the 1 chord is a G chord. So 2 draw, 3 draw, 4 draw. Now you'll see on the overlay and on the screenshot, if you've got it, that I've tabbed out the 3 parts. So on the 2 draw, and on the 4 draw, and then on the 3 draw, okay, so let's listen to that over chord 1. Here comes chord 4. Now, on chord 4, you get a subtle change. The 2-hole draw riff stays the same, the 4-hole draw riff stays the same, but the 3-hole draw riff changes. So, over the 4 chord, you get this on the 2-hole, on the 4-hole, on the 3-hole, so what is going on there? Right, I'm going to put the video onto my trusty melodica and I'll show you what's happening. Okay, I hope you can see the keyboard all right. So here is a basic G chord. The notes G, B and D. So over the 1 chord, you've got this going on in terms of the riff. Okay, that's from 2-hole draw, from 4-hole draw, and then from 3-hole draw. So if you put the 3 together, what happens when we get to the 4 chord? The middle harmony changes to this. the other two harmonies stay the same. Now, why does that work? Well, for that, we need to examine an extended C chord. So here's the basic C chord. First, third, fifth. If we added a seventh in there, we add a seventh in there, that's a C7 chord. If we add the note D, that is a C9 chord. Now, take the top three notes from the C9 chord, and now you can see why that middle harmony will work on the 4 chord. So it's a very subtle change, and it's quite a useful thing to know. When the band go to the 5 chord, they keep the harmony exactly as they did on the 1 chord. And at the end of the 12-bar blues sequence, it's a 5-4-1. Okay, bar 9 is chord 5, bar 10 is chord 4, and so on. So you get that subtle change in the harmony there as well. So I'm going to play the track. This is the 4 chord. As I played along with the track, you could see how that harmony worked. I hope that's useful for you. The reason why I think that's a useful thing to know about as a harmonica player is you might find yourself in a situation where you're playing kind of like a riff-based idea. So let's take a little riff starting from the 3-hole draw. So 3 draw, 4 blow, 3 draw, 3 draw full step bend, and then 3 blow. So putting that riff together. Okay, now when I get to the 4 chord, I'm going to, instead of playing 3 draw, I'm going to use a 3 draw half step bend. And then when I get to the 5 chord at bar 9, I'm going to use 3 draw, but in bar 10, as I play the rest of the riff, I'll use the 3 draw half step bend. Okay, it's probably easier to show you with a backing track than it is to explain. So here we go. Four chord. Five chord. And then as the 5 chord went into the 4 chord, on the way down in the riff, I went 3 draw half step bend to 3 draw full step bend. One more thing to show you just before we leave this video. By the way, the Hucklebuck would have been on all of the jukeboxes in all of the clubs, you know, around that time. So those young harmonica players like Little Walter, Big Walter, who came to prominence in the 50s in Chicago, I'm convinced they would have heard this and it would have influenced them. So that's one of the reasons why I'm doing it. But another reason why I love this track comes at the end when this happens. Check this out. 5 chord.
Hey, not now. I'll tell you when.
I love that. This is Ricky Cool signing off. See you soon with part 2.